Hey guys, welcome back to another video with your girl Ariel. If you're new here, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you're returning, welcome back. So as you can see, I am walking. If you watched my last video, I told you guys that I had been under the weather and I hadn't been feeling good for the past few days. Today I am feeling way better. So I decided to come outside for some fresh air, get my body moving, get some vitamin C. Do the sun give you vitamin C or vitamin D? I think it's both, right? Hey, they wanna tussle. I've been down for literally 5 days, y'all. I've been down for 5 days and I'm finally starting to feel better. But I've had a lot of time to think since I've been down, just thinking about a lot of stuff. Dogs are out, baby. Look at the dogs. Anyways, I was just sitting down not too long ago looking at this mango tree. And I just had like a thought. I was just kind of looking at the mango tree, and it's just a big old mango tree. The mango tree has been there for years. And what does it do? It does nothing. It just stands there and it makes mangoes. But then what I started to realize is that the mango tree sits there all year. And it's the same mango tree that it's been all the years that it's been there. And it only makes mangoes, bears fruit in the summer. The only time mangoes fall from the tree is in the summer. And so it just got me to thinking, like, the tree never changes, but it still bears fruit every summer. But then I had to think about it. No, the tree itself doesn't change, but its old leaves fall off and its new leaves grow. And throughout the year, the tree is consistently losing old leaves, growing new leaves, becoming healthier, becoming bigger, becoming better. And then in the season where it bears mangoes, it's its healthiest, right? And all the leaves are green and the mangoes just start falling and flowing from the tree, and there's so many of them. And I said all of that to say, like, I started to think about how when you're going through a sanctification process like I am right now, you start to not recognize who you are anymore, because it's like all that you know of yourself and all that you were before you become sanctified, it just seems like a totally different person. It looks like a totally different person. You don't like the same things anymore. You just are not interested in going to the same places anymore. You may not even like the same foods. You're not really vibing with the same people. Everything is just different now because God is just taking you on a different path to being more like Jesus. And when you're more like Jesus, there's certain worldly things that just don't align with that new aura that is attached to you. So it's not that you're a new person. You're still who you are, right? But you have new leaves. You have new leaves. Your old leaves are dropping. Your new leaves are growing. You're becoming bigger. You're becoming better. What God is preparing you for is that season of bearing fruit. And every time he prepares you for that season of bearing fruit, you gotta shed some leaves. You gotta get rid of those old leaves, and you gotta grow new leaves in order to even bear the fruit in the first place. Every year, the tree bears fruit. So just know that there's always a season. There's always a season. There's a season that the tree gets rid of leaves, which is typically fall, right? There's a season that the tree grows new leaves, which is typically spring, I want to say. And then there's a season that the tree bears fruit, which is summer, right? And then there's a season where the tree is starting all over, like everything is dying down just so the tree can rebuild itself back up, and that's usually in the winter, right? So there's a season for everything in life. And when you're going through that change, you have to recognize that it's just a season. It doesn't last forever. After this season comes another season. And all of these seasons have to happen so that you can get to that bearing fruit season. And after you bear one type of fruit, or this fruit, you'll go through another season, and another season, and another season, so that you can bear fruit again. But anyways, y'all, we out here with the puff going on. The puffity puff. I haven't been holding food down that well still, so I haven't been having much of an appetite. I've been thinking, since I haven't been having an appetite, I might as well just go ahead and fast, you feel me? But fasting should be intentional, so I don't want to fast just because I'm not hungry. Becoming a Christian has been like one of the hardest jobs, or I guess it's a job. Yeah, like there's responsibilities that come with it. So one of the hardest jobs that I've had to do, for sure, because what's a lifestyle? One of the hardest lifestyle changes that I've had to make. Not because of the things that I've had to give away, but because of the emotions that are attached to those things. What holiday is it? I'm constantly learning that I have to detach my emotions from my reality. I'm a very passionate person, and I'm also a very emotional person. Like, I feel a lot of things internally, and I may not always express them externally in the way that I feel them, but I feel things really deeply. For some reason, I've always kind of been like that. And I have to separate, like, the truth from how I feel about something. Like, for instance, as a Christian, you know, your duties are to basically live for God. And living for God can mean a lot of things. But for me, it means living the way that Jesus lived. Building a character that Jesus had. And trusting God the way that Jesus did. Jesus was kind. He was patient. He didn't sin. So on and so forth, right? And of course, I'm not Jesus, so I will never be perfect. But I aim to be as close as possible as long as I'm living for God. That's my goal, to be as close to Jesus as possible, or to be as much like Jesus as possible as I can, because I feel like by doing so, that is when I will be able to glorify God in the utmost way. And I can see like all of the changes that I've made and all of the changes that God has made in my life. And there's a lot of things that I no longer do that were sins. My character has changed in a volume of ways, and so on and so forth, right? And you kind of feel like, or at least me, at some point, I kind of started to feel like, okay, so I'm not sinning anymore. I'm more kind, I'm more peaceful, I'm more forgiving. Like all of these qualities that Jesus had and that God respects, I'm starting to, attain those things. And so in my head, now that I'm more holy, I should have less trial and tribulation. Not that I shouldn't have any at all, because that's life. It's inevitable. But it shouldn't be that bad, because I'm doing it the right way. And what I had to realize is that when you are living for God for real, the enemy will try to attack you even harder. If he was attacking you before you were living for God, man, he see you pray every day. He see you open that Bible. He see you say no to certain things that distance you from God. He see you say no to hanging out with certain people that distance you from God. He just see you making all the right choices, and he go double up and triple up and quadruple up on his ammo. He starts sending things your way that was never initially a problem for you, but now all of a sudden seems like, wow, this is kind of weird. Why am I dealing with this now? I never dealt with this before. Or he starts to bring up old things that you definitely struggled with a lot and overcame. And he puts those little thoughts in your head to make you go ahead and turn back on God. But you got to push through, because it's all a tactic to get you to fall back into his arms, to get you to fall back into his trap, to get you to fall back into his world. And sometimes it does feel lonely. Not sometimes, a lot of the times. It feels very lonely, because following God is not always the popular thing to do. It's not typically what's trending. Even in your friendship group, it may not be what everybody is doing. So you gotta kind of make the independent decision to do it anyways, even though it's hard, even though you're doing it alone, and even though it may not be fun. The grass is greener on the other side. And sometimes I just have to go back and remember what God has already done for me. Because when you're waiting on God to do something again, it always seems longer then it always seems like you waited longer than you waited the last time. That's because God is letting you build endurance, or you've already built endurance, and he's just strengthening you in your areas of weakness. And you need that to move forward, because there are going to continue to be trial and tribulation. Life is going to get harder. Y'all, that's all I really have for today. That's how I've been feeling lately. I done sweated a little bit, got my workout in for the day. About to take a shower, drink some water. I am parched. Y'all make sure you mind your business, pray, and drink your water. And don't forget that Jesus loves you. See you soon.
Tribulations got me tired, I need rest.